Good morning. Today is Tuesday, January 21st. We're in the lesson study, the quarterly God's Love and Justice. Today's lesson is called The Compassion of Jesus. In the New Testament, the same kind of imagery as in the Old is used to depict God's compassion. Paul refers to the Father as the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, 2 Corinthians 1:3. Further, Paul explains in Ephesians 2:4 that God is rich in mercy and redeems humans because of his great love with which he loved us. In various parables, Christ himself repeatedly uses terms of visceral, gut-wrenching emotion to depict the Father's compassion. Matthew 18:27, Luke 10:33, and Luke 15:20. And the same language that depicts divine compassion in the Old Testament and New Testament is also used in the Gospels to depict Jesus' compassionate responses to those in distress. Okay, read Matthew 9:36. There's several passages today. Matthew 9:36. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion for them, because they were weary and scattered like sheep having no shepherd. Matthew 14:14. And when Jesus went out, he saw a great multitude, and he was moved with compassion for them, and healed their sick. Mark 1:41. Then Jesus, moved with compassion, stretched out his hand and touched him, and said to him, I am willing, be cleansed. Mark 6:34. And Jesus, when he came out, saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion for them, because they were like sheep not having a shepherd. So he began to teach them many things. And Luke 7:13. When the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said to her, do not weep. Okay. See also Matthew 23:37. That's odd. Matthew 23:37. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the one who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often I wanted to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wing, but you were not willing. How do these verses shed light on the way Christ was moved by the plight of the people? Well, it says that he was moved with compassion in almost every single verse that I read. Again and again in the Gospels, Christ was said to be moved to compassion by people in distress or in need. And he not only felt compassion, he addressed the people's needs as well. And yes, Jesus also lamented over his people. One might imagine the tears in Christ's eyes as he looked over the city. How often I wanted to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. That was Matthew 23:37. Here we see that the lament of Christ matches closely with that depicted of God throughout the Old Testament. In fact, many biblical scholars note that the imagery of a bird taking care of her young is imagery only used of divinity in the ancient Near East. Here many see an allusion to the imagery in Deuteronomy 32:11 of God as a bird hovering over, protecting, and taking care of its young. Discussion questions. There is no greater example of God's compassionate love for us than Jesus himself, who gave himself for us in the ultimate demonstration of love. Yet Christ is not only the perfect image of God, he is also the perfect model of humanity. How can we model our lives after the life of Christ, focusing on the felt needs of others, and thus not merely preaching God's love, but showing it in tangible ways? I heard a quote, which I'm going to put it on a t-shirt and wear it. The quote is attributed to Francis of Assisi, and it goes, "Preach the gospel. Use words if necessary." Have a nice day.